What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Go to Trades, and I'm back with the Straw Hat Trading Channel, and we are back with another weekly analysis of the stock market ahead, so that we can be prepared for what's to come. And trust me, this week it's a jam-packed week. There's a lot of information coming in, earnings, data, and got FOMC on Wednesday, so it's gonna be a lot of information and a lot of charting and just a lot of preparation so that we can stay green in the markets. Now let's get started. So just as we always do, we always want to start with our S&P heat map. We like to see how the market is doing in a whole and just have this whole visual so you guys can see how the market's looking, right? So this week, the S&P 500, I must say, for the most part, obviously we were green for the week, but we noticed we start seeing weakness toward the end of the week and we start seeing rotation. And as we can see, we start seeing rotation out of the finance names, the technology names, and a major chunk is out of energy. Now, energy has been our risk on section. I wouldn't say that energy just out the woods gonna be done as a trade, or maybe we can just say energy just taking a breather. For the most part, we've seen reds really in the consumer durables. We see it in energy. We're kind of seeing it inside the technology, but for the most part, at this stage, we're just pretty much neutral. I mean, health and services, retail, consumer, non-durables, they're starting to get love. And I mean, I wouldn't label this as defensive or risk on. I just think at this stage, we're just pretty much neutral and we're just waiting on some type of major shift in the market, which obviously this week can be that week. Okay, so now this week we have major earnings. We have a whole bunch of information, a whole bunch of companies that's going to be reporting for the week. Regional banks reporting. We do have SoFi that's going to be in the XLF sector. Obviously, we have Boeing, GM, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. We do have some actual names that's going to really affect the Dow Jones. And for the most part, everybody's just really looking at how tech is going to be doing. So obviously, we do have some chip spaces like the ASMLs, the Lam Researches. And obviously with tech, we do have Apple, Intel, IBM, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla. We have a bunch of news. And honestly, Wednesday is going to be our craziest day, mainly because we do have FOMC that day. While pairing that with these major tech earnings with Tesla, IBM, Microsoft, Meta, it just... Lam Research, it's going to be pretty crazy. This is going to be a crazy week. Next, we have some major economic reports. And guys, we have consumer confidence. We have retail inventories. We do have FOMC interest rate decision. That's going to be at 2. We do have GDP on Thursday. Initial jobless claims, pretty important. Home sales is going to be okay, I guess. We do have the personal spending. We have PCE. That's going to be very important. Core PCE. This is going to be a week. This is going to be a pretty important week. So let's go over our weekly performance for the week. Now, when we go over our weekly performance, we can see that obviously we did pretty poorly for the week. I mean, I already told you guys last week that this week was going to be a shaky week, mainly because I over leveraged in puts last week, especially when the market was starting to break out. Now we got the confirmation breakout on Tuesday, and obviously when you have movements overnight over the weekend, that kind of affects your trading. It's kind of unfortunate, but for the most part, I mean, I guess it is what it is. Sometimes you have really good weeks and sometimes you don't. You're not gonna make all the right trades every time. But I do have to say my risk management wasn't that good. I think I risk way too much on these puts, and that's what kind of messed me up, right? Now, I thought, obviously, these were going to be decent movers towards the downside. And if I just go over real fast, I mean, I was playing that breakdown here, right? And me playing this breakdown, I thought it would be a good move. But once we had obviously we had this failure right here, I was like, okay, yeah, we're probably gonna be a shoo-in. You had a gap up on the Friday session. This is probably where I should have sold. Instead, I was like, okay, I'll hold it for the next week and see how we react. Maybe we get still some type of lower high action here. Now I can mark it here, right? We can still have a weekly lower high. Is it gonna let me do the weekly? Not here. Okay. So we can still have a weekly lower high, even if we fail this move here. because we still have this high here that we have to take out. Once we took out this high, that was when I was like, okay, yeah, this is a dead trade. So that's how I end up selling on these puts. Looking back at it, we can always look at retrospectively and be like, oh yeah, that's a bad trade. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I thought it was a decent trade. My Friday session wasn't that good either. I end up having to cut a lot of losers because I thought, we would have continuation towards our Friday session, but we had like a major shift. Like we started selling towards the Friday session. So obviously, not that good of a week, but I mean, we're only down $600 for the month. So that's not too bad. As long as my day win is above 60%, that means I had a decent month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really tripping. Obviously, I want to end off the week with a bang, so we're gonna see how we go. Like, we're gonna see how everything goes this week. But that's basically the essence of my week. Next, let's transition into our macroeconomic sentiment report. And look, guys, when we look at the dollar and we look at yields, look, things are looking kind of shaky, right? Obviously, we had this major breakdown in the dollar, and this was kind of my impeding doom towards my bad week. So I thought that last week I kind of told you guys that, okay, 108, that's where like this 108.2, this is where we'll probably get some type of support. And we didn't. We end up crashing through the dollar, and now we're looking like this is a topping pattern here on the dollar. This looks like a potential major breakdown. So if we start topping here, I mean, every time you had major tops on the dollar, you see it here, you see it here, you see it here. Every time you had major tops on the dollar, that's when you had like major supports on the market. So this can be a major support here in the market, and we can still be bullish, like super bullish, even if we start selling down. And if we could just find some type of support to sit on, like if we start crashing in the markets, as long as we find some type of support to buy on, I do think we're gonna, go higher. Obviously, we can only note until we break down this 105.40, what was it, 105.44. That's when we know this was a top. But for now, it's just a lot of volatility in the dollar. So in the most recent term, we would have to look at the daily chart. As long as we stay below 107.754, like as long as we stay below this, I do think that we're gonna slide on the dollar for the whole week. That's just what the daily chart is telling me. I mean, you're making consistent lower highs and lower lows. So I mean, as long as you can hold this area underneath, then I do think the dollar, you're gonna keep sliding. But if we end up breaking above 107.75, we end up breaking above that, and then we start breaking out, then obviously we can have a retest to this like 108.79, and that's where we could start having to see, okay, are we gonna do a head and shoulders action? Like what's about to happen here, But for the most part, I am bearish on the dollar, and I have to be proven otherwise. Now, when we look at bonds, it's kind of the same thing, but not, right? So we're still in this uptrend here. Like we're still grinding higher on the U.S. yields. But if we go to our daily chart, we can see that we are potentially, right? Keyword is potentially. We are potentially setting up to break down out of this upwards channel. And the reason why I say that is because we would have to hold this. If we hold 4.526, if we hold above here, I do think we can curl back up and start seeing even more pressure on the market. However, if we do break down, this is a head and shoulders. If we do break down here in the markets and we cannot hold above 4.526, then I would have to assume that we're gonna crash land down here at 4.3. So that's what I'm watching for in the markets. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Now let's go to our indexes. Now, obviously, when I'm recording this, it is 9:30 Eastern time, and the market, at least the indexes, the futures market is already open, and obviously we're starting to see a gap down in the market. But our analysis is only going to be towards this candle, this close on the week of June 21st. Obviously, we're failing to close at all-time highs, right? We're failing to get there, right? So if we can't break back above 21.9, then I would have to assume, let me just go ahead full screen. If we can't get above 21.9, I would have to assume that we're going to see more weakness for the next week, right? The reason why I say that is because when we look at the monthly chart, right, and this is why the monthly analysis is super important. If we look at the monthly chart, this candle ends at the end of the week, right? So this weekly analysis really ties into our monthly analysis. And our monthly analysis is everything, right? This kind of sets us up for what price action we should be watching for and what close we should be watching for, especially for the week, right? So I just want to make sure you guys can see that we have a hold right here at, what is it? It's 21,290. As long as we close above this, then we are technically still expanding, but I would have to say we're neutral. These two upper wicks all the way up here, I don't like that. I don't want to close with these large upper wicks. That kind of insinuates that we might start seeing like more selling, and it might just be similar to what we've seen before, right? In that July session. If you guys remember, when we had these nasty two upper wicks in this session, the very next month we had a major sell, right? I don't want to see that. So if we end up seeing like some type of action where we close like around this like 21.9, 21.3, I'm not too much of a fan. That just means that we can actually start selling down next month. If we start seeing some buyers stepping in, then for me to be bullish, especially toward the end of the week, we have to close the month with at least a 21.6 hold, right? So above like this area right here, we will need to hold and close, right? This is our November high, right? This is when our election high. This was like when we were breaking out during that Trump election victory. We need to hold that. If we can't hold above this, then I'm not going to lie, it's starting to get spooky. We have to hold above this. That'll be my bullish indication. If we can kind of get some type of hold above 21.6, I'll be bullish. But if we cannot hold above that, then that's when I start having some type of cautiousness. Like, okay, maybe next month might be a little bit shaky. So at this stage, what am I watching for? Well, I mean, obviously this gap down is kind of insinuating what's going to happen. But what I would be watching for, as long as we hold this zone here, if we hold this zone in the beginning of the week, then I'd be pretty bullish. Maybe some type of setup to where we just find lower highs. Higher lows, and then we break out. Or if we can't do that, I mean, you do have a major buy zone here between 21.6 and 20.99. So, I mean, you still look decent. And usually how this thing goes, right? Once you break out of a range, you would always want to retest. So if we get some type of retest in this range, we get some type of retest here, and we curl up, that's bullish. I mean, you just formed a W. Like that's super duper bullish. So I'm not counting that out. Like some type of buy zone in this area, I'm not counting that out. Obviously, like I would stop out underneath this neckline here, this neckline break. If we break down and we make new lows, yeah, I would think that we'll probably see like the second buy zone, which is at this 21.97 area. And I mean, like I said, like even if you get some type of like sell down here, you're still a buyer for the most part. You'll just have to find where the bottom is, and obviously that's not something you want to predict. That's something you'll want to see the price action for. So if you see some type of bottoming pattern, that's when you start entering. Same thing for this shorter term dip, if we do get it, which we looks like we are getting it. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, you look pretty decent. I kind of like the ES chart a little bit more because it's a little bit cleaner. The ES chart, all you really have to do is hold at least this zone for the week, right? So if we hold above, what is it? It's between 6,000 and 59.79, 59.80. As long as you hold this area here for the week, like this area, you look decent, right? You just got to hold it. So if we get some type of sell down here, I'm a buyer easily. We're just retesting this breakout. Now, if we end up breaking underneath, then that's when I get kind of concerned. But for the most part, you look pretty good. So if sellers could bring you down to 650, I just watch for that hold. Obviously, the 650 area is right here. So if sellers bring you down to 650, which is right here, cool. And if you hold it, that's awesome. But if you don't hold it, I am a super buyer right here in the 6,000. I am a buyer at the 6,000. I would love to see if we get some type of action like so. Hold on, some type of action like so. Boom, we can't hold it, okay. and we buy right here easily. I would love that. Okay, so that's my look for the moment. Hopefully we get it, and we'll see. Now let's look at the Russell and the Dow Jones. Me personally, I still love the Russell. I've been telling you guys since the year started, this is probably your best opportunity. Now the Russell still looks good. It still looks good. I mean, as the markets, the major markets are pulling back, which are the Nasdaq and the ES. Those are pulling back heavy, but I mean, RTY is holding. Like, you're still holding pretty decently. Like, even look right now. Like, even if we look in the future market here, you're holding. Like, I mean, you're just holding nicely. I like it a lot. I mean, I told you guys for the monthly analysis, as long as you hold this area, as long as you hold above 2,200, bro, you look good. Right now we're at 2,300. So even if we get some type of pullback, like what? Maybe right here, even if we get some type of pullback to 2,240, you look good. Like, you look really, really good on the Russell. So again, breadth is starting to look good. If you curl up higher and you start breaking out, I mean, you could potentially, as long as we take out this area here, what is it? Between 2370 and 2310. If we break out above that, I mean, you break out above that, you're gonna test all-time highs. You're going to all-time highs. And I mean, even if we zoom out even more, this just looks like an incredible cup and handle. Like, this looks incredible. This looks like an incredible cup, and here's your handle, and you're trying to curl out your handle. So I mean, if the Russell's looking bullish like this, what's stopping the rest of the market to keep going? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if we get some type of pullback, cool. But we're going to buy the dips, buy the pullbacks. You look really, really good. And even if you look at my terrible week last week, that's like, look, my terrible week was a terrible week, but we can get over that by just positioning ourselves in the right, like, mindset and the right positioning, sizing for these opportunities. Like, look, this looks amazing. So we'll just see how we go this week. Obviously, if the opportunity presents ourselves to have some type of clear buy zone, then we can buy the Russell. Now, when we look at the Dow Jones, I mean, it's kind of the same story. You already had this major kind of major breakout, and I kind of told you guys before it happened. And I like the Dow Jones too. For the most part, what I will be watching for is some type of hold here. If we can hold this area here, so that's between, if we can hold between, if we can hold between 4380, 43,800 and 43,600, I'm a buyer. For sure. I am for sure a buyer here. This looks good. This area looks good. This is what I'm looking for. If we break down under, then we do have a major buy zone here around, what is this? 42 and 43. Like, this looks really good. I like this a lot. So we'll just have to see how everything develops for the week, but that is what I'm watching. Now, I just want to go over quickly the SPY cash market and the QQQ. For the most part, I mean, it's the same thing with what I said with the NASDAQ and the ES. You look decent. Even if you get some type of retest of the breakout, you still look good. So even if we get some type of retest here, our first zone on the SPY, we have 598, between 598 and 597. We're buyers here. If this fails, then we do have this major buy zone between 589 and 588. Major buy zones, I am super buyers here. This looks good. This area here looks amazing. But obviously, this is going to be our first stride. It's our first buy zone. And obviously, if this fails, then the next buy zone will be somewhere down here at like 575, 570. I don't think we're going to get there. But if we do, obviously, we know we have a game plan for it. QQQ, same difference. I like it here. Again, if we break down out of this upward channel, which it looks like we are, once we break down, our first buy zone here is at 520. We are buyers here. If we hold this 520, then obviously we will want to see if we can break back above 528. If we can't break above this 528 area, so this will probably act as some type of resistance. If we can't break above 528, then we will go ahead and we would retest this area here. That's at 511, 513. Yeah, between like 513-ish. Yeah, about 513-ish and 509, like around here, this is where we'll be buyers. These are major buy zones, and obviously I have to say it, if we can't hold these, then we have this one right here, 504. Now I am, like I said, I am super bullish on these names. I do like QQQ at this area, this buy zone here, so let's see how it goes for the week ahead. Next, we do have our tech charts. If we look at our tech charts, we look pretty decent still. Like, guys, we look good. If I'm being completely honest, we still look good. We haven't broken any structure. Actually, on the contrary, we look pretty good here because we broke out of our bull flag, right? So obviously, I told you guys about this bull flag formation forming. We end up breaking out. Boom. Now we retest our highs. We're failing it. If we end up failing the highs, obviously, we have our support zones right here. It is between, what is this? Between 3150 and 3040. You look good as buyers here. If we fail this, then we also have this 3100 area. If we fail that, we're going to have that 3000 or maybe to 2900. So we're just going to have to see if we actually end up holding these support zones. So let's see. But obviously, I'm a buyer between, what is this? 3151 and 3100. I am buyers here. But if we end up failing, I mean, this would just be a double top opportunity. If we end up failing everything and we break under this double top area here, then I do think we can break down all the way to like this, what is it? 2875, 2850. And that'll be a major, this will be a major buy zone too. Anyways, like every time we got into this support zone here, it was always buy zone. So even if we get some type of double top action, let me go ahead and erase all this ugliness. Even if we get some type of double top action right here, and then we break down on this neckline, again, major buy zones here. Major buy zones. XOK. I still like XOK a lot. XOK looks amazing. Now, we end up making a new all-time highs last week. Amazing. After we got that all-time high, we end up starting seeing sellers. So if we end up actually breaking down here, I think we look good. Like, still, if we end up breaking down, we still look good, because if we hold above 236, I do think we could find buyers to, keep us afloat. Because remember, guys, XOK has been sitting in this multi-month range. Like, our last time we made all-time highs, like our major all-time highs, was here. This was in July of 2024. So you have essentially almost a 6-7 month range of just staying in this zone here. So if we end up breaking out of this box here, right, I think we have like room to just continue grinding higher for the year, right? So this is what I'm watching. Like, I'm really watching to see if we get that breakout and hold. So we gotta get the hold. So this week I'm really watching to see if, even if we get some type of pullback, if we start curling up and make another new all-time high. That's what I'm really watching for the XOK. I like it a lot. Now, when we go to the QQQ, again, we kind of already went over it, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Again, we have these buy zones here. So we have, my major buy zone is between 513, or right here, it's like, it says 515. So like 515 to 513, maybe even if we keep going, I kind of like it in this 509 area. I like everything in this area right here. So I'm still bullish on the QQQ, and yeah, I like it a lot. Next, we have chips. Now, chips is looking super interesting. Chips, in my humble opinion, is low-key where I see the market going now. I do think everyone is kind of starting to underestimate what's happening under the hood. Now, again, I'm telling you guys, we're having rising support and rising resistances. We're starting to look pretty decent on chips, right? So we made a new high, a new weekly high here at almost 270, or around 270. I think it was 270. Yeah. So obviously I like this a lot. Let me just go ahead and show it full screen. I like this a lot. What I want to see is some type of retest here at 250. If we get some type of retest here at 250 and we hold above it, I do think we can set up for a major breakout and breaking all-time highs. I do like it a lot. You do have some chip names reporting. You have SML, ASML. You have LRCX. I do like it a lot. And you do have NVIDIA coming, I believe, next week or in a few weeks. I like it a lot, personally. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. But, I mean, SMH looks really good. I'm waiting for that pullback. Same thing with XSD, which is the semiconductor ETF for the SPY. I love it. I mean, let's look at it, right? You came into this major resistance area here. So if we end up coming back down, right? Even if we end up coming back down and we're testing this area of support around here, I'm bullish, right? Like, I'm super, super bullish. And I mean, 251 is your major resistance zone. And I mean, it's kind of pointing towards like the late February, early March, where we'll see like a major bounce here if we end up forming a bottom around here. Like, let's say we form a bottom and it just keeps holding and grinding higher. And I think this kind of fits the narrative that Nvidia might just be a major buy for earnings, maybe, potentially, when that comes. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm just watching this like a hawk. I do want to see everything hit support at the same time. So if we hit support on the SMH and we hit support on the XSD and we hit support on the SOX, I would love to be a buyer. Now, where's support on the SOX? The support on the SOX will be between 224. What is this, like 224 and 220? If we could hold above that, I like it a lot. Even if we come back down to 218, as long as we hold above 218, I kind of like that a lot too. But I'm starting to like chips a lot. Here, I'm starting to like chips a lot. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I'm starting to, I don't know, guys. We got to see how it kind of close out the month. So when we close out the monthly candle, we'll kind of see how everything looks. But for the most part, I kind of like it. Next, I want to go over these 4 SPY sectors. I do like them a lot. Again, I've been going over them like the last, 3-4 weeks now. And they're proving to be pretty good buys. Again, I'm still liking energy. As long as we keep curling like this, I do think the range is starting to tighten and we're going to see like some type of crazy breakout on energy. I'm loving it a lot. Make sure you're watching it. Make sure you're keeping it on your charts. I think that, this can be a major buy. I love healthcare. You're starting to break out here. We actually broke out this week. Now we are officially outside of this downwards channel. So now we're trying to just keep grinding higher. So now if I wanted to be a buyer here, like new money buy, I would want to see a test at 142, 141, and I'll be a buyer here. I like this zone here. And obviously we're curling higher and we want to break above 147. If we break above and hold 147, I do think 157 is going to be an easy target. Next, XLP. I think you are short-term bullish, long-term bearish. You just had a double top here. Boom, he had his double top. You broke the neckline. So now what I'm looking at is a test of this neckline. Let's see if we can actually find some type of test of this neckline and break down. If we find that the test at, what is it, at $80, $79, and then we start breaking back down, I'd be pretty bearish on it. However, if we end up if we end up breaking that, let me go ahead and go full screen here. So if we end up breaking above this neckline, I do think that we can maybe get to this 82, 81 area, but you're still setting up for a potential lower high opportunity here. So if we just keep going and then break down, like, I do think that can definitely happen until we get some major support. Our major support, in my opinion, will be around 73. So we'll see. So this is what I'm watching for the most part. I do like XLP a lot as a watch. Lastly, I think this is my favorite sector as of right now, and that's the XLI sector. Industrial names, you look pretty decent, right? So I already told you guys about this breakout. We ended up breaking out, and we held a breakout, like super. I think at this stage, we have to see if we get some type of retest, right? So if we get some type of retest and we hold above 137, I do think we can be buyers here. Or even if we come back down to this, 136 area, 136.31, I do think we could be buyers here. And this is where we can start seeing another curl. Maybe we start hitting all-time highs. I like it a lot. But, yeah, pretty good names. Well, I don't really have any individual names that I'm watching at the moment. I think this is really just a watch and wait type of game that I'm playing at the moment for the stock market. So, I guess we're just going to close out the video right here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the analysis. Anyways, this has been your boy Go to Trades, and I'm out. Again, I'll catch you guys in the next one next week, and peace.